I got no idea how our guys had the courage to make the plays to go win that game. I thought we played hard. We didn't play great. We didn't shoot it great. We had defensively some breakdowns, but that's to be understood after what we went through for the last 3.5 weeks. Florida A&M's pretty good. I thought they're pretty good. They're battle tested. They got a rhythm, a routine. They've played enough games where there's a role acceptance and an identity, and we're trying to recreate that. So, and they got a good shooting team. So it's we were late today on closeouts, and that's the one thing that we talked about not doing, short closeouts or gambling, because if you gamble, we're going to give up shots behind you, and we made some of those mistakes. But at the end of the day, we missed open shots the whole game, and then Jermaine makes that hard three in the open court to put us up 5. We couldn't make free throws, and then Wildens makes 2, and AJ makes 2, and that's pretty good to see those guys do that and figure out a way to win a game.
Okay, first question to Dave.
Hey, Frank, thanks for doing this. Happy New Year to you. You mentioned the expected rust. How much of some of the struggles today was just rust, and how much of it could maybe be a few deeper issues that you got to work on throughout the season?
I mean, it's hard. Yeah, we had rust, and we had like some conditioning breakdowns. The guys were tired, and we wouldn't run back and wouldn't get matched up. Yeah, but how do you fix that in practice when you only got, when you only practice 3 times and you got 9 bodies? I mean, how do you, other than putting them on the line and running them? I'm not going to do that. I got good kids. I'm not making those guys run just to run. We got to get in basketball shape, and so we got to take it one day at a time, and just like today, find the courage to go make plays, and no excuses, and no reasons why A and B, C comes after A and B. Don't try to get to the letter D, one at a time. And hopefully we can keep surviving the way we did today. We can play with that kind of courage with the game on the line. We got a chance to win some games.
Colin?
Yeah, Frank, I guess 2 questions. Do you anticipate the guys that missed today to be back for the SEC opener? And second of all, just what does it say? You kind of mentioned courage. What's it say about this team to come back after a month off with, I think, 5 guys down and still be able to pull off a win the way y'all did?
Yeah, it's that's why I'm proud of the guys. Just that they had a courage to stick together, and Wildens and Justin did an unbelievable job on offensive rebounding the basketball and not giving in, even though Justin basically played the whole second half. Defensively, we weren't great, but we did some really good things when we got down there in the second half to give us the lead back. And then offensively, we missed free. I think we're 3 for 8 at halftime from the line, which we got to fix that. It cost us the game at Houston not making free throws, and we got to fix that. But as far as guys coming back, it's every day. I check, and I don't want to say something now and then Monday it's different. I don't want to mislead anybody. I think that one of them will be allowed. We're off tomorrow, but I think one of them is going to be allowed to practice on Monday, and just one day at a time, man. One day at a time.
Dick?
Hey, Frank, I might be blinding you back with my head, though, but just wanted to ask you about the importance today about finding a way to win with the guys that you had, and how later in the year you could have foul trouble or injuries or whatever, but these guys got some valuable experience in finding a way to win today.
Yeah, no doubt. Dick, at least you and I threw in the towel. We're not still in the Phil Kornbluth kind of hold on for dear life team. But that's it's huge. Trey Anderson, Javon Benson, those guys have an opportunity to get on the court now. Before they couldn't. So they hopefully grow and get excited that they're getting an opportunity to play. And I've got to be patient with them as they grow, because We don't have anyone else. And so it's kind of a perfect marriage for both. I have to be patient with them, and they've got to be eager that they're getting opportunity and grow. And but no, I told the team in the locker room, because I couldn't say it yesterday. I couldn't say it during the game. Like, it's going to be hard. I'm going to be so proud of you. I couldn't do that because that's I'm giving them I'm giving them a shoulder to lean on to create an excuse when I do that. But I told those guys that to have the courage to win, I don't care who we play against right now. When the season ends, they rarely ever have. I don't think I've ever seen it. The selection committee holds up boards that says, 4.0, 5.5, 8. They rarely do that, like in gymnastics and diving. They rarely do that. They kind of look and they say, did you win or lose? How many did you win? All right, we like you. Come on. So winning's always better than the alternative. Players like it better. Coaches like it better. And obviously, if you got a chance to be in the postseason, they don't care what great offense you run or what great defensive rotations you have. They care if you won or lost. So it should be great because of those things.
Michael?
What was it like just waking up this morning knowing you're going to come to Colonial Life Arena and actually play a game here for the first time in a very long time? I mean, just for you as a coach, and then also just, being able to see your players. I know you mentioned just how hard the quarantining has been on them and just missing all this time, and just what were the emotions and feelings like of just being able to experience a normal or somewhat normal game day?
Yeah, it's I got the news yesterday that both teams were good to go. I told the players, and I went from being really, really calm, which is what I've been for the last 3 weeks, to all of a sudden getting a little worked up in practice and even by myself at home last night. My wife is at a volleyball tournament with my daughter, so it was just my little guy and me. And I don't know about you guys that are parents, but 12-year-olds have no interest in hanging out with their 13-year-olds. I'm sorry, have no interest in hanging out with the dad. So they go in their room and do their stuff. And I sat on the couch, stared at the TV by myself, and started to get nervous. It felt like first game of the year, and the difficult part and the nervous part has nothing to do with winning and losing. It's with the unknown that how do I handle certain situations, and trying to think through rotations and responsibilities and patience, which I just said is one of the things I'm going to have here for the next, week or two is tremendous patience. And, but yeah, I was a little worked up last night. I didn't sleep real well, and, probably need to go home and get a good workout in just to get some of this energy out of me.
Joe?
Happy New Year to you, Coach. Curious, you just mentioned about needing to have some patience with this process. Have you given thought to how you're going to manage your team moving forward, knowing that they had this 3.5, 4 week layoff to get to this point, and how to try to manage them and get them ready to play SEC level basketball? Yeah,
it's that's a different book than the one I've been reading for the last 35 years there, Joe. It's I spent 35 years trying to understand that book, and then this year they just kind of threw a curveball at us and said we're not reading Great Expectations this year. We're reading some other stuff. So the Cliff Notes went out the window. I'm stuck, and it's Joe. I'm trying to figure out every day how to manage today so we can be better when we show up tomorrow. Like for the last 3 days, I spent time on our offense. I didn't really have time to do our offense and defense the way I usually do because we hadn't practiced in a month. So if I did that with 9 guys, they had no legs. We couldn't have finished the game today. Headed into Texas A&M, I'll probably spend more time with our defense and to clean up a lot of the stuff that got us in trouble today. I thought offensively, I thought we played halfway decent on offense. I thought we missed a lot of shots. Like AJ, we've been on AJ hard to drive the ball. And he started the game that way. Then as the game evolved, he started trying to quick shoot threes, which is what we're trying to get him out of. Shoot the three when it's open, but when guys are coming, you got to go at them. And, but It one day at a time, Joe. I really wish I had a better answer for you. I just, we're off tomorrow, which they need, and then come in here on Monday and manage Monday and be excited that we get to play, because the alternative is not a whole lot of fun, and we just lived it for the last 3 weeks.
We'll go with 4 more guys, starting with Mike.
Hey, Frank, I know you mentioned it, in terms of the courage today, but going into a game like today, where was your biggest concern? Was it, the stamina? Was it just being able to get their legs under them in terms of just the game atmosphere? Because like you said, this is something that you haven't had to deal with before. Or was just kind of like the mindset for you today?
Wilden's getting in foul trouble. And a minute into the 30 seconds into the game, he's got 1. 3 minutes, he's got 2. And he's so young that he doesn't know how to play with fouls yet. So that's why that was and why is it a concern? Because they've got a huge human being that they play through in the low post who's really good in there. And then the other young man, number 25, I believe, he's different. He plays more off his jump shot. And Wilden's of, Javon Benson and Trey Anderson, he's the only one that's had enough reps to be able to manage both responsibilities. So as soon as the game started, my biggest concern took place, and it wasn't making shots. It wasn't what zone they were in. It was just our we got to figure out a way. Wilden's has to figure out a way, and I got to figure out a way where he's got to play right now somewhere in that 25 to 30 minute range as we're going through this process. And so we got to get more than 13 minutes out of him.
John Doe?
Frank, you had 2 hometown kids playing their first game at South Carolina with Javon and 7th. Just first off with Javon, it was a first chance for us to see him. Is he what he showed today, what you've seen in practice? And then on 7th, you've obviously been very vocal about how great he's been since he's been here. You know his family so well. So how big of a day was this for him, do you feel?
Yeah, I'll obviously answer in the same order you asked. Javon, you saw his talent today. He's got the ability to take the ball and put it in the basket. He's got to make free throws. It's you can't afford to go 1 for 4 from the foul line, so you got to make free throws. And with him is understanding how hard he's got to play. He's not there yet. So from a defensive rotation, rebounding, we take a huge step back until he figures out the effort and the strength that goes into it. And then the other part with Javon is knowing where he belongs on the floor. And that's huge, because if you go to the wrong place, you mess the game up for the other 4 guys. And he's still trying to figure that out. But he's got an ability that the ball leaves his hand and it goes in the basket. And that's you saw that today. I think he had 2 assists to go along with his baskets, and he has that feel. So that's where I have to be patient as he continues to learn those things. And then with 7th, the time off actually helped him heal. So his leg feels real good again. And he's going to give us 7th gives you winning plays. Everyone, made a big deal of him when he was a young kid because of his dunking ability at his height. Look, that's not, those are there when you can have them, but that's not what makes people good players. He makes winning plays. I mean, I've been on him about getting to that 10, 12 foot range and popping up and making those mid-range shots. He's really good at that. You saw that today. He did that. And then defensively, he's really getting better at how we guard by guarding the ball. Where he's got to improve is off the ball. He still has old habits, because not that they're wrong. It's how, North Carolina and even his high school team, how they played, where it's different than how we play off the ball. And not practicing for a month, what do people do? We go to old habits. And he had some breakdowns there today, but he was nervous. But great spirit, great young man. And I'm really happy he's playing for us.
Colin, and then John.
Yeah, Frank, you mentioned Jermaine's 3, that contested shot, but that was kind of a big swing with 7th turning it over and then AJ getting the block and 7th funneling it up. I'm just curious, does that make you feel good as guys that are veterans making those plays? And you guys closed, I think, on a 9-2 run, the final 5. Does that speak to kind of the veteran nature of this team, of the older guys knowing how to close out games when you guys need wins?
Absolutely, Colin. Biggest mistake young players make is that they quit on plays. Someone makes a mistake, they drop their head. Well, that second they drop their head, you get beat. And we made a mistake. Seventh made a mistake, but we didn't give in. Think about the 3 guys you mentioned. Seventh doesn't give in. He's a 5th-year senior. AJ's a 3-year starter. He runs back. We get the block. We get it back. And now here comes Jermaine, who was running back on defense. Now put his foot on the ground, run back the other way, and stick a 3. And the guy that passed him the ball, 7th. So that's the advantage you get with older players, is that they don't quit play. I call it quit playing. It doesn't mean that they quit. It just means that they stop in the middle of a possession, and you can't do that. It's the game's not perfect. There's going to be mistakes made, and Bob Knight, I say this every year just to remind everybody, it's whoever makes the fewest mistakes is going to win. And the biggest mistake you can make is ever dropping your head or giving in to a middle of a play. Number one, it's deflating for the rest of your team, and number 2, you got no chance to survive if you do that.
And last question to John.
Frank, Happy New Year to you. Wanted to ask what your concern was as far as conditioning going into the game. How do you feel like they responded throughout? Did you have to change anything about rotations just from a stamina standpoint? And how do you feel like they fared there at the end?
Yeah, there's certain guys on our team that they can just run till the cows come home. AJ Lawson, AJ can probably run a marathon and not even take a deep breath. He's built that way. Jermaine and Justin are a little different. Jermaine and Justin, when their engines are going, those 2 guys tend to play pretty hard. They get tired. So their conditioning is so important, because that gives them their edge to be able to go. And anyone that's tired struggles to stay engaged. It's just fact of life. It's the way it is. And but I was more worried about 7th playing his first game at home. Jermaine and Justin with their conditioning factor, and then obviously the other guy I was worried about was Wildens, and his, to a certain extent, his conditioning, but we never got to see that because of the other stuff. But that was with about 4.5 to play, we had some tired guys on the court. And the media timeout, I think they turned it over, and we had a media that we took a charge, if I'm not mistaken. Trey Hannibal takes a charge, and there's a media. And in that timeout, they were great. Their spirit was great, but we were a tired team. So how the heck we finish and close that game, I don't know.